Light going to happily grab that one up. This has been one of the champions that really has secured wins for LNG so far in the split.
We talked about how they do just want to scale and play that late game style, so it's a great pick. I do expect BLG to just go towards the Kalista, going to play this aggressive option, which Avelis is fine with champions wanting to come into him and then really just popping off with those chakrams.
Yeah, able to just blast anyone that comes nearby. We've got the Trundle and the Graves locked in as our jungle picks, and then the Leona for Iwandi alongside this Aphelios for Light. But we'll see where BLG go. You'd expect them to go for a support as well, get something that can go alongside the Kalista. Maybe something like the Nautilus, something like the set.
The set would be nice because it is a flex pick, so I just love having flex picks on red side, and then you leave a lot of mystery in your draft all the way until last pick. But Shinmo has been much more of a Nautilus player.
But I think we might have a mid lane lock in instead. Fofo just going to grab himself the Zoe. And I mean, we saw it in the B-roll earlier. Zoe has been a standout pick for Fofo this split, and when we're looking at Fofo as being one of the primary carries, setting up with comfort is certainly the way forward.
And to me, it is also a bit of a takeaway because this is Maple's most played champion this split by far. He has 7 games to Zoe. He picked it all 3 games in their last set against Vici. So wanting to go with that, gonna do fine in trying to outrange the Aphelios. Obviously doesn't fit the Kalista that well, but you still have options in what you can build this comp into.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that we talk about Zoe as the most played pick for Maple, but honestly, the picks that have been most successful for Maple have been the supportive picks, more like the Galio. So he doesn't really fit into that category, but either way, we're going to have the Twisted Fate, the LeBlanc banned away from Maple here. On the other side, LNG banning that set that we talked about as a support for Kalista. We'll see where they go with their last ban.
Yeah, and I'd like to actually just see BLG go towards top here. If they're going to just opt into this 5v5 team fight, you have Wukong still open, Ornn as well if they'd prefer that, but Wukong obviously doing so well here in the LPL, would do a great job of getting onto LNG's carries, and Kingen has looked pretty good on it.
And Kingen so far this split has played 8 different champions. He's played 8 games.
Yep, one different champion every game.
Obviously, ADD has played a couple of games for the team, but it's going to be Kingen majoritively, and he's going to be left till the last pick as well, so he gets his pick of the litter. And if something like the Wukong does come through for Chenlun, he's been willing to go for things like the Hecarim.
Yeah, you have the Hecarim. You can obviously take the Renekton in that matchup as well. And I guess Renekton is banned, but you have a couple of options. The Mordekaiser's still open that could counter out that pick. And LNG have already set themselves up that they do want to go and fight what BLG have drafted. So now this Orianna actually does set up really well for a top laner that does want to go in.
And look at that Orianna win rate, 77% right now. It has been an exceptionally strong mid laner here in the LPL. And it certainly sets up the rest of the team, right? When you've got a Leona there, when you've got an Aphelios that wants everyone grouped together, that Shockwave's going to do wonders. We got a bear in the top lane as well.
Yeah, and this was the pick that LNG have been playing a lot. Of course, it was Flandre, the one piloting the champion, but obviously extremely strong in the laning phase. I actually haven't really seen too many matchups where it even struggles, but the thing that is kind of not strange or off-putting, but you don't have any like guaranteed engage, right? Sure, you have the ultimate coming out from the Leona, but if that misses, Volibear isn't someone who offers any like point-and-click CC, right? So you are still going to have to run at BLG. They do have some tools to try and cut you out with the Sleepy Shovel Bubble and the Pillar, but ultimately BLG puts together a comp that wants to run forward as well.
Yeah, we've pretty much got 2 comps that want to clash against each other. A good amount of scaling on the side of LNG, whereas for BLG, with this Kalista pick, it feels like there's going to be a little bit of a timer on this draft.
Yeah, BLG definitely going to want to get more in those mid-game skirmishes. Obviously, Kalista's a pick that can start doing extremely well at the first item mark when she gets the Blade of the Rune King pick up, but I'd say late game you don't necessarily count out what BLG have drafted, since we said the engage coming from LNG is pretty conditional, but we have an Orianna and Aphelios, even Graves and Volibear scaling up quite well, so if the game does go later, we definitely would favor LNG.
We certainly would. On the side of BLG, we've got Fofo on this comfort pick of the Zoe. It's a comfort pick for both of these mid laners. On the other side, though, Maple grabbing himself Orianna. This will be the first time he's playing at this split. We could have both of these players trying to make things happen, not necessarily in the 1v1 in the lane, but I'm expecting a lot of action from them roaming around the map.
Yeah, we do have an Orianna, though, so obviously not typically the champion you think of that really wants to roam around the map, just wants to sit up, farm, get those items under her belt. Fofo will have some options, especially you can try to get Meteor in that mid lane early. Trundle, of course, is one of the champions that can go for a level 2 gank, throw down that pillar, try to burn Maple's flash, and then it'll give Fofo a lot of priority to go and help set up his bot side.
All right, well, we're going to jump on Summoner's Rift here for the first game of the day. It's LNG up against BLG, with LNG on our blue side here. good amount of scaling on both sides of the map. And one of the key things that we're going to be looking for in this series is good decision-making out of our two teams, showing that they know what they're about, that they know how to execute their win conditions.
Yeah, exactly. And we have two, I'd say, very different power points for the compositions where LNG early on can definitely play around topside. We've seen Volibear just crush Ornn many, many times. So you're going to have a priority point to play around, see if XX wants to go and invade Meteor's topside jungle and look for these duels. And for BLG, we already talked about it, right? See if you can get mid set up early on and then keep trying to translate that into bot side pressure. Wait for King to get that call of the Forge God and then play for these early neutral objectives.
I haven't seen this Volibear skin yet, but that looks really cool. I think it's the... Is there a wrestler Volibear skin?
Yes,
I'm not
there's
even
like
sure.
I think there's like a luchador Volibear skin, right?
Well, he's yellow. I know that, and he looks cool. But we'll see that later on in the game as we get towards the top lane. But across this game, got to be looking towards BLG in the early stages, especially Meteor coming back in. Obviously, just as a player, is going to have a bit of pressure on him to live up to his own reputation because he's certainly one of the most hyped members of BLG. But also in terms of the matchup, in terms of the team compositions, a lot of onus on him to start the game strong.
And yeah, Meteor going to have a lot of opportunities around the map, especially we talked about in mid and bot. And we just saw in mid, Fofo looking for a lot of aggressive paddle stars. Wasn't using paddle star in the wave at all. He was just constantly trying to get in Maple's face.
Try and force Maple out of this lane, try and get some advantages in the early stages of the game. And especially when you've got these two mid laners that both later on will really want to fight for priority.
And even his rune choice, right? Going towards the electrocute. Typically, we do see either Spellbook or Shinmo.
Hang on, Shinmo. That's a little bit aggressive down in the bottom lane. He's going to be fine. Aftershock keeps him safe.
Also makes sense, right? You do have the Callista lane, so you do want to look for these strong trades early on with that Hail of Blades.
XX just going to be clearing his jungle away here as he gets over towards his blue buff. He's clearing up towards the top side. Meteor on his wolves right now. It looks like we should have one Scuttle Crab for each side of the map.
Yep, so our first clears are going to be a bit slower, but going back to the mid lane point, when you do take that electrocute right, it is all about these very aggressive trades, trying to get those 3 hits, proc the electrocute, back off, rinse and repeat, and continue to find your advantages through those ways. So Fofo at least signaling, hey, he knows I need to be the carry of this team. I'm not going to take a back seat.
Damn, this trade out of Chenlun. Honestly, new Volibear, especially in this matchup against Ornn, the harass is so difficult for Ornn to deal with.
Like, thinking about what we've seen here in the LPL, I've not seen a matchup where it struggles. From what I've seen in solo queue, you would think Renekton should be a good answer, but here in the LPL, we saw Volibear crush Renekton.
Yeah, we've really not seen any answer to the Volibear up in that top side. And it's interesting that we see it near exclusively in the top lane with a couple of variations there, but mostly it's been top lane Volibear for us in the LPL. Elsewhere in the world, it's been in jungle, it's been in support, mostly jungle though.
Yeah, LEC especially, right? Playing it in jungle pretty much every game. We have seen it here once from Lilian and did find some success. It obviously won the game. It actually won the game against LNG. Actually, it was me and you. We were here the other day.
Yeah.
Did become a big unkillable force.
Baloo the bear in the jungle, but it's up in the top lane that Chenlun's going to be in trouble right now. The bear knocked into the sky. And with his flash on cooldown, there's nothing he can do about this one. Meteor grabbing himself first blood.
And really interesting that we set up how XX can play through his topside priority. He actually was in Meteor's jungle, looking for Meteor, trying to steal his camps and get that duel.
Hang on, we've got to fight in the bottom lane as well as Shinmo. Going to take a lot of damage to start this one off. An Eclipse from Iwandi is going to mean that he's relatively tanky in that trade.
Yeah, so we are still seeing BLG's bot lane be extremely aggressive, which is good because this is something we haven't seen a lot out of BLG. It really feels like their bot lane has been struggling this split. Even Wings getting damage onto the enemy team. His 2 most played champions this split are Aphelios and Ezreal. Even you move down one more, it's Kaisa, and he's doing the same amount of damage in his team as Kingin at 25%.
Which is a little bit of an issue, right? When you're 80 carry that's playing things like Aphelios, that's playing things like the Ezreal, can't out-damage your top laner.
And your mid laner, who's most played as LeBlanc, is 31% of your team's damage.
Yeah, I mean, Lyric, would you say that this is an issue of Wings, or would you say that that is Kingin and ADD doing a good job in the top lane?
I'd say it's a little bit of neither, honestly. It's his team not being able to execute on their drafts or find a style where they can set up for Wings to do well in team fights. So these damage numbers are bloated by how the laning phases are going. And we know Kingen picks a bunch of laning champions, right? You've already highlighted 8 champions. He's played the Jace, he's played the Hecarim, the Renekton, the Camille, so a lot of aggressive and carry-style champions.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing about that number 8 champions, right, is that he's picking counter matchups. XX manages to grab his own Mega Chicken there. The smite was just a millisecond too soon from Meteor. Or in fact, I think that might have been XX's smite.
Oh, Narwandi is actually in a fine position, but it's really nice to see BLG be the proactive team this game. Meteor somehow sneaking around, finding a gank in the top side, and now using that pressure from bot and mid to look for these invades in LNG's jungle.
Shinmo's going to be able to find his way onto Light here. The root should come on through. Ignite already ticking onto the AD carry, and Aphelios is in trouble, but they can't commit to this one as XX shows. And they will have to back away.
Still, you got 2 summoner spells for 1, so BLG are fine with this. I don't think LNG should be able to get a re-engage, but you're at least going to help them neutralize, clear out this wave, and find a recall timing if they want.
I wasn't sure if they were going to keep going since they do have this Callista. Halo Blade's going to be back available, and iWandi forced a flash.
And that pillar was absolutely beautiful coming out from Meteor, and even the synergy with Shinmo to then go for the dredge line straight after. And we see how the team's just kind of working in unison right now, because if you are looking at the minimap, Fofo was also hovering, which is why LNG's bot lane realized, oh god, we need a back. And even now, seeing that, hey, Kingan's kind of walking down as well. He's ready if anything happens, and he has that Call of the Forge God now.
And this is such a great sign for BLG, because the biggest thing we said coming in was this team feels uncoordinated. It feels like there isn't any synergy there. Meteor coming back on in, being part of every play so far, maybe is the Band-Aid that can fix that problem.
And he was the shot caller of the team before. That was definitely said last year in 2019. So he was the star player as well. When talking about the best junglers in 2019 in LPL, the 3 names that always popped up, no matter what order people had, was Tien, Karsa, and Meteor. So good to see him back in the roster. Good to see the team at least synergizing early on. Look at all the vision in the river and how they're turning this into objectives around the map.
Yeah, I mean, setting all of that vision up as the Dragon was spawning so that they could take control in the early game. And now the next objective is going to be that Rift Herald, and you can see the team moving up towards the top side of the map.
And it's absolutely beautiful to watch. And even looking that Kingen still has the teleport. So if any fight breaks out, Kingen can be there. LNG not answering, leaving Shenlong in the top side, just makes you think that they're going to go for Plate's bot lane. But with XX not here, they actually can't really look to dive Kingen or anything like that.
Shenlong's in trouble up in the top lane because Shinmo going to start the fight onto him. Shinmo's still only level 5, but hey, that's a Volibear all popped out, and that means Meteor can start this Herald.
And this does go back to what we said about LNG, just kind of watching the game pass them by, which, you know, with this draft, taking the game slow is fine. Actually, all we'd really want to see XX do is really try to control Meteor, stop him from finding any options. We've already set up the invades in topside. Oh, it's just going to clear out the wave.
Yeah, Kingan's aware that they could look for a dive here, so just ults the wave to make sure that iWandi can't go into tower. One thing you always have to worry about against Leona.
Yeah, and right. So far, BLG are doing a great job. Looks like they are going to just go drop the Herald top and funnel some gold onto Wings. So this is going to be Wings' chance.
XX has found Kingen here in the jungle. Will be able to slow him down, but does not have the damage to get through an Ornn. He's already got a Chain Vest, so Kingen is feeling pretty safe. But in the meantime, Light is the one that you've got to focus on. He's getting some tower plays for himself. It's going to be matched in the top side by Wings with this Rift Herald.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that we see Shenlong in the mid lane. So going with Maple and putting some pressure onto Fofo, but Shinmo is there to answer as well. So overall, BLG also winning out on the big tempo play on the map.
Get a second charge here. There was no answer in this top side. I would have loved to see Wings just stick around for a minute there, honestly, and he maybe could have finished the tower.
The thing I like about it, though, is they reset. They're going to get tempo coming onto the map, so they can look to go set up some vision in the bottom side jungle. There isn't any dragon up yet, so that is a bit unfortunate, but hey, the recall, you stop LNG from taking your turret. You have a tempo advantage. We know Fofo is going to continue to have priority in this mid lane in the sense that he could just throw out a paddle star, clear out the wave. So maybe we can see some aggressive picks coming out from BLG with the Zoe, the Nautilus, and the Trundle Pillar.
Yeah. The fact that there's still 2 plates remaining as well on that bottom tower, Light was able to get 3 for himself, but ultimately, LNG lose the trade, and that's the most important thing, because we always talk about it's not about getting the Herald, it's about how you convert it into a play elsewhere on the map. So great stuff from BLG, and it's so good to see these signs of life from them. They're now 1,500 gold ahead of LNG in this early game.
And I mean, kind of luckily for BLG, they were also able to pick up that series win against E-Star when they didn't take Smite that one game. So they're not sitting at the bottom of the table. They do have this bit of a cushion to where, right, they still have 11 series left, not including this one after this one 10. So the dream run is still there.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is still in playoff range. Even DMO right now.
Well, Rogue Warriors, right? Rogue Warriors have no series wins, but the run for them is possible as well.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue Warriors, they're still only on 5 losses.
11 series win streak.
Look, I'm just saying it's possible, okay? All they need is like 8 or 9 wins to make it to playoffs, generally speaking, outside of extreme circumstances.
Yep, definitely true. And going back, we see BLG making the same play that they made earlier on, right? We talked about how they can look for picks in the bottom side jungle with the Chunder Pillar and Zoe hovering.
Meteor moving into the jungle here. XX, the target. Look at the damage. Sleepy Trouble Bubble should easily finish this one off. Meteor with a second kill. Now double TPs come on through. Shenlong is the first one here, but he needs to get out of there as well. Orianna with a bit of damage on the backline, but Shenlong ain't that tanky just yet. Knockups galore. Hook doesn't hit though. Stun to get over the wall, and Fofo gets it with a bubble.
And overall, BLG doing so well. They're actually going to be able to...
They're not done. They're not done just yet. Light is obviously the target here on Aphelios. They just let I1D run because they want to shut down Moonboy.
And this is beautiful play coming out from BLG. Even a member we haven't had to highlight that much as Kingin. We've seen him constantly hover over, coming in with that follow-up TP, giving BLG enough confidence to continue looking for the play. Great hooks coming out from Shinmo, but overall, this has been all about the top half of the map for BLG, and these are the stars we expected to see coming into 2020.
Yeah, and they've been playing around the top side of the map, but ultimately it's Wings that's been able to profit off of that. Elsewhere on the map, grabbing himself turret place. Bit of a skirmish between our junglers here, but they'll both back away. Infernal Drake is on the map, though.
I know a lot of our fans have missed Meteor, and this game is showing us why. And both teams now hovering around Dragon. We are missing some key ultimates. I think especially Kingin's that Call of the Forge God would come in handy if they wanted to start a fight against LNG, but also no ultimates on XX or Shenlong either.
LNG gonna move in to try and contest this one. With the Ren, though, the Dragon goes down, and LNG just go wide on the Zenith Blade, so they're not going to be able to force the engage. Fate's Call to pull out Shinmo, and I think BLG just get away with it.
Yeah, and actually even I1D did not have his ultimate, and we talked about, hey, this team doesn't have any easy engage options, right? There's no point-and-click CC. I mean, I guess you do have Leona's E, but other than that, getting in there and hitting that Q, so...
Yeah, I mean, we just watched how if you miss the Leona E, there is nothing.
And then we also saw Shenlong just kind of run up, stun you, and it's like, well, now I just walk away. So BLG in a great position, 3K gold lead. LNG going to be able to answer on the turret, but this isn't really going to amount to any sort of pressure. Just a bit of gold in their pockets.
Yeah, I'm just going to minimize that gold lead, so still about 2,000 at this point. But look at the kill score, look at the Drakes. BLG, very much the ones in control of how this game is going. We do have a play potentially being set up on the top side, but no, I think LNG just going to disperse once more and move back to their lanes.
And we're still at a point where if LNG look to start Herald, BLG can definitely fight. We already have a ton of items coming out on their side. Kingin's already hit his first item mark where Shenlong hasn't. Kalista at that one item power spike.
Damn, Cleanse having to be burned by Maple in the mid lane. Really nice find from Fofo to get a trouble bubble there. And we talked about this mid lane matchup being the most important head-to-head in the game. So far, I mean, just look at the scoreboard. It is all about Fofo.
And it's just been great, right? Fofo's just pretty much been perma-pushing and looking for trades onto Maple, which is let Meteor do whatever he wants. And Meteor's done a lot. We've seen 2 invades come out from him, 2 dragons, and a Rift Herald. Even him fighting that gank on top lane was really nice to see.
There has been a lot of plates taken so far this game. 960 for the side of LNG, but importantly, because of the plays you're talking about that Meteor has started up here, huge amount of gold going the way of BLG through those plays.
And let's remember that there are comps and games where a team falls behind and it does look impossible to come out ahead. But with LNG's comp, if the game goes late enough, we always have some kind of huge shockwave into Moonlight Vigil play coming out from LNG.
Or just make a play right now, because Wings forced out of the fight, and Meteor completely alone all of a sudden. No flash available, and he's 1v5. Goes down right now. Drake not going to be up for another 2.5 minutes, though.
Yeah, and this is Meteor just kind of overstepping a bit too far. When Shenlong wasn't showing on the map, Kingin's been up there by himself for quite a while. Even Maple not showing in the mid lane while Fofo was pushing out that last wave, so Meteor walking into 5 people.
Fofo's doing a ton of damage with these paddle stars. But obviously, off the back of... Wait, hang on. This is BLG starting the Herald.
I mean, they did just see light showing on bottom wave, so they know at worst it's a 4v4 right now. And they do have Callista, but...
I love the confidence. They're like, oh, a jungler got picked off? Sure, we'll take a neutral objective. That doesn't seem to be how League of Legends should work, though.
Again, goes more to the light showing on the bottom wave, but I know what you're saying. The spirit of it feels wrong regardless, right?
It certainly does. Wings now going to be able to grab himself a red buff as well. The question is, where does this Herald go? What do they do with this objective?
I think opening up mid lane is always the best option when you don't have some kind of split pusher that wants to play through a long lane, especially when you look at LNG's comp, right? It has Orianna Aphelios, so you're going to have great wave clear. So without Rift Herald, breaking that mid turret actually could be pretty hard.
They are going to have the Herald to do exactly that. And Fofo obviously can do a decent job of shoving that wave in the mid lane. We've seen that countless times in the Fofo-Maple matchup. But you can see Maple only just arriving here in the mid lane. It's light right now to clear the way.
You're also at the point of Orianna versus Zoe, though, right, where you both just throw down your full combo and the wave's gone. Going to be pretty non-interactive at this point in time.
And we are going to see, actually, Wings move down to the bottom side of the map here. Might just drop the Herald to finish that tower off instead, because the rest of his team positioning to stop any kind of aggression down on the bottom side.
Ooh, that was a bit scary if Fofo would have had to blow a summoner, but overall, I don't want to see Herald drop spot. You have no reason. The turret is pretty much... So now the turret's gone. Now we're not going to see it, so
he
thank
didn't even
God.
have to auto. Never mind Herald. That turret is done with. Wings having to get out of here, though, because Chenlun is charging along. There's no tower here right now.
Well, not having the confidence to throw it down that... I guess not confidence, not wanting to risk that on a 50-50 play.
We got to fight. Teleport coming in. I wanted the target to start this one off, and with a trouble bubble, stopwatch keeps him alive, but not for long.
Yep.
Arguably a waste of a stopwatch, in all honesty.
It was definitely a bit of a waste. And now, hey, you still have Rift Herald up.
Hang on. We've got more on our hands, though, because Maple, I don't think, can get away. Flashes over the wall. XX now the target. He's going to back away for himself. Light, desperate to get this red buff, but we all know he's not grabbing it. Meteor to get that one. Now onto the Volibear. Jumps over the wall. The trouble bubble ignored because of the ult. Very nicely done. XX now feeling the pressure in the mid lane. Has to collateral damage just to get to safety. And even a bonus charge on the Herald.
Like, Munch, I know it's against LNG, but this is supposed to be 2 evenly matched teams in this matchup, but BLG is doing whatever they want.
And BLG is meant to be the slow team, right? Remember back at the start of spring, we talked about this team as super slow, super calculated. This is fast, aggressive gameplay with.
And it's going to the win conditions of their composition, so it's great to see. You came out of pick and ban and say, okay, this is going to be us seeing can these teams play to their win conditions. BLG have definitely done that, and feels like they've executed almost every part of the plan perfectly. And now on Soul Point, but even that doesn't feel like it matters all that much. BLG are going to be at the point at the 20-minute mark where they could even just look to try to force a fight at Baron, but we do gotta take a step back because, again, it is still Orianna, Aphelios, even Graves and Volibear, right? You have a ton of AoE, you walk into the pit wrong or into some choke where you don't have vision, and numerous members can get blown up.
Yeah, I think the correct way to say it is this is a very throwable lead right now for BLG. Yes, they are in a great spot, and their composition is spiking incredibly hard right now, so they should be in a great spot. We'll see if they can keep it going.
And this was LNG trying to play through their priority bot after looking for that pick. BLG collapsing from both sides. King TPing in doesn't really need to. He's the one that secures the kill, which is pretty interesting. And then they keep going. They have the Herald. We see Wings going to set that down, but Kingen and Meteor looking for this engage. Shinmo flashes in. His ultimate does hit Maple. Doesn't mean that much. And sadly, we didn't get to see where they actually did go on to turn onto Chenlun and find a kill as well.
Yeah, able to catch out Chenlun, who, in all honesty, was taking a bit of a greedy path through the jungle. XX going to be denied his chicken here. It's actually going to reset, but Wings is going to be able to finish that one off with the Rend.
This also leads to a conversation, though, where we saw Flandre play 4 games. And I actually feel like Flandre individually actually played extremely well those 4 games. So bringing back in Chenlun, who was struggling a bit himself, but also the team seemed really awkward to play around his identity, where he definitely looks better.
Oh my days, the damage coming out from Fofo. Iwandi's going in. The combo from LNG. Fofo punished for the aggression.
And that was as decisive as could be. And Awandi coming out with some great CC, and we talked about them having a ton of AoE bursts, and we just saw it there with all the ultimates coming out.
That was so nice from Iwandi. Recognizing he had an opportunity and just, being willing to go over that wall, because that was, a potentially questionable play if BLG could capitalize.
That definitely could have gone a very different way, but...
Yeah. I saw him going over. I wasn't filled with confidence. But hey, they pull it off, and that's what matters. Let's take another look.
Okay, so they do have the ward. The rest of the members are showing in the lane, so it is actually pretty safe. But
no.
the flash E over is great, and obviously we just saw it set up for both Maple and XX's ultimates. So this is the potential win condition for LNG going forward if that hits multiple members of BLG.
Maple slowed by the pillar, but Meteor realistically can't challenge him there. Meteor's actually pretty low with Baron available, but obviously LNG not really in a position to try and just force the Baron right now. They do have a Aphelios, but ultimately
their Baron's definitely not bad, but...
This is 10-12, so the Baron take for Aphelios hasn't been nerfed yet, still very much a threat.
Even Orianna with, Ooh, actually... Oh, sorry, I actually thought they were about to start up the Baron, but getting a bit baited by the Graves.
Yeah, Wings wasn't there, so they have to back away from this one. But they can certainly set up vision, and this is what... So, Lyric, explain to me, what is the next step for BLG? How do we see them snowball the lead that they have? How do we see them abuse this Kalista?
At this point, the Dragon's up in 1 minute and 20 seconds. So, keep King in the side lane. It's actually strange. I guess they're going to wait a bit longer, but put King in the top side, have him push out that wave. You're going to be able to draw some pressure by trying to force someone from LNG to answer. Walk down towards Dragon. You're either going to get Soul, which is then going to put you on point for Elder, which is great, or you're going to find a 5v5 where your composition is still spiking extremely hard with this Kalista and Zoe.
So just try and put LNG in a bad position, basically. Try and force them to make a decision that there aren't any particularly good outcomes for. The big thing for LNG, though, is, as you rightly said just a moment ago, if they can find that fight around this Dragon, around this Baron, where everyone groups up, there's a big shockwave, there's a big combo of ultimates, things can very much turn around.
Yeah, and also really interesting they're going for this.
Red
they do get it.
Taken by Wings there. Shinmo wants to find a fight. He's onto Light as well. And there goes the AD carry. Pop goes LNG. And now onto the rest of the team as well. Kingen arriving as Iwandi is going to be the next one to go. Shenlong forced out with his ultimate. And it's a double kill for Wings. And everything going BLG's way.
Yeah, and that's actually all up to BLG doing a great job of controlling this vision, because had LNG seen them come in, we talked about how they have all this AoE wombo coming out. Probably could have tried to burst that 3-man core from BLG, but didn't have vision, didn't see it. BLG steal red buff, and then Shinmo hitting a very good dredge line, starting that fight off.
And now onto the Dragon. Bear in mind, XX is nowhere to be seen. This is going to be Soul now for BLG. They're in a phenomenal position to close this one out. Soul at just 23 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and again, the next thing to look for, obviously we're going to start thinking about Baron, but Elder up in 6 minutes is going to be massive. And here we see the pillar come out from Meteor, but then a great dredge line like we talked about coming out from Shinmo. Wings having the confidence to pull him back in, throw him into the fight. Also interesting, we see Meteor and Popo just zoning everyone else up on the top side.
It feels like there has been some quality practice from BLG recently. This is looking like a completely different team to what we... Like, coordinated team fights like that where they get a pick, the rest of the team zones, like, I don't remember seeing that from BLG this summer.
Ooh, and we're also seeing more coordination onto Chen-Lun.
This volleyball pick has not been working out for Chen-Lun this game. He's not really been able to find much. Knocked up, and he will be finished off once again. And yet another pick, yet another advantage.
Thinking about it, though, right? Especially here in the LPL where we've really mostly only seen it top, we've seen this volley bear pick work off just snowballing its extremely strong laning phase, which, again, early on he was winning the lane, which makes sense, it's up against an Ornn. But then that one gank from Meteor, just setting him behind, and then BLG never took their foot off the gas pedal and then just kept making plays. Okay, go gank bot, get Dragon, rotate back up to Herald, so on and so forth. And they haven't really given LNG even a chance to breathe after that.
Yeah, they've done a great job of just layering this pressure on, not giving a second, as you say. And this is an exciting showing here from BLG, because when you look at their schedule of who they've played so far, they've only managed to beat E-Star, but they've played FBX, they've played V5, they've played Top Esports. They've actually had a pretty hard schedule. So this is a really good sign that maybe we've got a middle-of-the-table team on our hands.
Yeah, and LNG actually spam pinging Baron. Okay, just going to get some vision. I was going to say, this could be the kind of Hail Mary play they maybe need to make, but the fact that there is still always a chance of them taking advantage of a misplay from BLG would feel a bit over-ambitious. A big thing for me, though, is Wings now has 3 items. Going to be very safe, strong, and has a ton of sustain with that stance. And the Ornn items are coming out as well.
Meteor could get caught out here. This is the power of the Leona, but Iwandi misses the ult. Fofo going in as well. Moonlight Vigil used. That is a ton of ultimates used by the side of LNG. And now they're getting collapsed on Chenlong. Gets into the backline. Shockwave hits no one. And that could be disastrous now as they get collapsed upon. Ren comes on through and everybody's starting to fall. Keep your eyes on Light. He is the hope right now for LNG. Jumping forward, gets a shutdown, gets 2 for himself, but still goes down. Maple, the last man standing, and will get chomped on through by Meteor. A fight for BLG.
Yeah, and we have 30-second death timers on a lot of these carries. Okay, actually, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I thought maybe they were going to push for the base, but going to be able to translate that into a Baron despite Wings going down, but that looked all right for BLG starting out right. Meteor had the flash to get away from Iwandi, and then things looked dicey to me when we saw Chenlong come in off the flank, jump into every member of BLG, but Wings doing a great job of kiting him out, as well as Shinmo. Kingen keeping all the members separated with that call of the Forge God, and we just saw Wings dance around that fight, looking so beautiful on that Kalista pick, and Fofo doing a lot as well.
Yeah, and you know, props to Light trying to make that play happen. Did actually get 2 kills for himself, but ultimately wasn't quite enough. And you can see why they didn't try and push an end, right? There is no damage between these 3 players. You got burst damage out of Fofo, but he's not that great taking towers.
That's just one of those situations where it's like, kills here, kills there, you're really hyped, you think something else is going to happen, and you take a step back and...
You're like, wait a second, we got a Zoe.
But yeah, so we see them look for this pick on a Meteor. He flashes out immediately. Iwandi now in a position he doesn't want to be in. And we actually see Chenlong coming in.
Oh my goodness.
Just kind of ignores everyone, jumps in. We see Kingen doing a nice job of kind of separating the rest of the members, but even LNG just not feeling comfortable walking forward. Great knockup from Kingen. Tons of damage coming from Fofo, and Wings was doing a ton this whole time, dancing around the fight. And here's what we talked about with Light trying to find a way back into the fight, but hey man, you're surrounded, nothing you can do, and BLG comes out on top.
We saw Wings had stacked up so many spears in that fight. I think his Ren must have been used earlier on to get a slow, and so couldn't quite finish off Maple for himself. Had he done that, he maybe could have survived that, in all honesty. Fofo now setting up this push in the bottom lane as BLG with a 9-kill lead, with an 8,000 gold lead with Soul, begin to try and finish things out.
And LNG here, they just need to try to commit 5-man onto this 4-man in bot side and hope something works. It's really your only opportunity, but you've already given Kingen enough time to roam over, so ultimately BLG just going to sit in front of these minions and wait for another wave to show up.
And the poke coming out from Fofo at this point. Look at his items, already 3 items strong with boots. They can just bounce between mid and bottom lane and just do so much work onto these towers. That'll be the mid inhib going down here. LNG, I don't know when they're going to make this Hail Mary play, but their base is falling apart.
I mean, realistically, I guess at this point, you just wait as long as possible, hope you can get some more damage items in.
I
But
guess.
Elder's coming up in actually 25 seconds, so you can't do that.
Yeah, I don't think they've got time to wait for this one.
No, they don't. They need to fight.
BLG gonna now move back down to the bottom side. If BLG can get a second inhib before Elder spawns, that might just be the thing that clinches the game, honestly.
And they look like they should be able to. Kingen's still hovering, putting a bit of pressure mid.
Oh, Iwandi's going in. The fight is going to go, but Eclipse goes wide here. Knockups across the team as XX the target. Kingen with the knockup, and down go the health bars. LNG going to fall on this one. Chenlong giving his best. Goes into the team, but doesn't have the damage. And with that, the tower will eventually fall in onto Maple. Shinmo trying to make the play happen, and Wings here to follow it up now. TP being channeled by Kingen, who's coming back into the fight once more. Another one for Wings. We said we wanted to see this LDL AD carry making his mark, and that he has. 7-1-5 on the Kalista, and BLG show us why they're in the LPL.
And Munch, a coordinated BLG was not something I thought I'd ever see. Even when I predicted it to be a top team, I expected it to be off individual player skill. The player skill was there,